he cut the mouth of the elephant, the mouth of the crocodile, and released the elephant from the grip of the crocodile. So, in the purpose, Prabhupada writes that the Lord resides in his Vaikuntha planet. And no one can estimate how far away this planet is situated. So, now Brahma, in the Brahma Samhita, describes it. There are many verses in the Brahma Samhita describing the Vaikuntha planets, Goloka Vrindavan, Vaikuntha Lokas. Tat Kinjalkam Tat Asanam, Tat Patrani Striyam Api. The eternal planet, Goloka Vrindavan, is the abode of Krishna. It has petals surrounding it as the abodes of the gopis, who are part and parcel of Krishna. These petals shine beautifully like so many walls. The extended leaves of that lotus are the garden-like dharma or spiritual abodes of Sri Radhika, the most beloved of the Lord. So the spiritual planets are hexagonal in shape. They're hexagonal in shape. So many sides. And in each of these sides, there is a lotus petal. And behind these lotus petals, there are leaves. So these lotus petals are said to be the residing places of the gopis or the Lakshmis. And the green leaves that surround the petals are like the gardens of these Lakshmis or Srimati Radhika. So these planets, the Vaikuntha planets, are located in the spiritual sky, far, far away from the material atmosphere. They're millions and trillions of miles away from the material environment. So much so that one may wonder, how is it possible for the Lord to hear the prayers that are being said by his devotee Gajendra? And then what is even more wonderful, amazing, is that within the shortest possible time, the Lord appears from that faraway place to rectify the calamitous situation his devotee Gajendra finds himself. So, for many people, it is unbelievable how the Lord can descend from such a faraway place in a matter of seconds, in a matter of moments, to deliver his devotee. Goloka is the seat of transcendental love. Therefore, lovable objects like the Yamuna, like Sri Govardhan, like Sri Radhakund, and many more wonderful places and objects of love are present. And the Lord is relishing his association, is relishing the devotees' services, is relishing his pastimes in these wonderful places. So how is it that the Lord is still attentive to the devotees' prayers, the devotees within the material creation? How is it that the Lord is still attentive to the prayers of the devotees who are within the material world? And then the Lord reacts to such prayers. The material world, as we are all aware, is structured in such a way that there are 14 planetary systems. 7 are up above the earthly planet, and 7 are low below the earthly planet. So the whole universe comprises of 14 planetary systems. We cannot even imagine the size of this universe. We can calculate. Scientists are still trying to figure out the distances between planets, the circumference or diameter of the universe, and so many details in the universe. They are not able to grasp that meaning, that these distances. Yet, the Lord is able to hear the prayers of the devotee at that distance, and the Lord is able to cover that distance in a matter of moments and immediately comes to the aid of his devotee. That shows how much the Lord cares for the devotees. Krishna is described as Bhakta Vatsalya. Krishna has so much love, so much affection for anyone who calls his names, anyone who chants his glories, anyone who renders service unto him, anyone who is attached to the Lord's activities. Krishna develops such affection. And Krishna is keen on hearing the activities. He's keen on seeing the activities. Krishna is monitoring the activities of the devotee. And so as soon as the devotee is in trouble and cries out sincerely to the Lord's hearing, the Lord immediately responds. So it is said, Tavat Ragaya Stenas tavat kara griham griham, tava moho nigri nigado, yavat Krishna te janaha. My dear Lord Krishna, until people become your devotees, their material attachments and desires remain thieves. Their homes remain prisons, and their affectionate feelings for their family members remain foot shackles. In other words, any activity that is not connected to the Lord is considered a means of entanglement. Any activity that is not directed towards pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is considered a minus. On the other side, any activity that is done to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna takes notice. Krishna takes into account that devotee's activities, and Krishna is just waiting to come to the aid of such a devotee. So therefore, everyone should act for Krishna's pleasure. Everyone should meditate on how we can pass this life, how we can execute our activities in such a way that can attract Krishna's attention. And when Krishna's attention is drawn, then one's life is considered a success. Because Krishna, even though he stays far away in Vaikuntha, he's very, very attentive to the calls of his devotees. He's very attentive to the devotional activities of the devotees. And therefore, everyone should be encouraged to engage in devotional service, so that at a time of trouble, at a time of death, at the last stage of one's life, Krishna will intervene in the life of the devotee. Otherwise, our desires are like thieves. They take away our wealth. Our homes remain prison houses where we are entangled. Our affectionate feelings towards family members remain foot shackles that keep us in the material world. But if these very activities are connected to Krishna, if these very activities are directed to Krishna, then these very activities will endear the Lord to the devotee. And at the end of these lives, Krishna will come to our aid. So no one can estimate how far away this planet is. In fact, Srila Prabhupada mentions in one purport that the universal diameter of this, our small universe, is 4 billion miles. Our universe, which is said to be the smallest, because our Brahma is Chatumukha, is four-headed. So, and that's the smallest number of heads a Brahma can have. From 4, there are 8, there are 10, 12, 20, 100, 200 million, 3 million, 10 million, 20 million, billion. So So many heads are there, but our universe is the smallest because our Brahma has only 4 heads. So this small universe, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the diameter of this universe is only 4 billion miles. And the universal covering is very, very thick because the 8 elements, the 8 material elements, Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, that these 8 elements, they form the covering of the universe. And each element is 10 times thicker than the previous one. So if we begin with earth, the next one is water, is 10 times thicker. The next one is fire, it's 10 times thicker. The next one is air, is 10 times thicker. And so the thickness of the universe is huge. And so we come across the story of Krishna and Arjuna. When Krishna and Arjuna, when the Brahmana's boy in Dwaraka was getting missing at the time of birth, and Arjuna was invited to protect the child, and Arjuna could not protect the child, and he was going to enter fire. So Krishna took Arjuna to Mahavishnu Loka. So it is mentioned that when Arjuna and Krishna, they were riding on the chariot. A chariot descended from the skies, a chariot descended from the spiritual world with 4 powerful horses. And Arjuna and Krishna mounted the chariot, and they were going in a western direction. They went through all the planetary systems, and they came to the covering of the universe. The covering of the universe was so thick and so dark that even these horses of Krishna, of the chariot of Krishna, even though they are transcendental, they resisted entering the dark covering of the universe. Tama sugoram gananam kritam mahat vidarayat bhuri tarena rochisaha. So what happened? The Lord had to use his chakra, his Sudarsana chakra. The Lord's Sudarsana chakra penetrated the darkness with its blazing effulgence, racing forward with the speed of the mind. It cut through the fearsome, dense darkness of primeval matter and showed the way for the horses of the Lord. We mustn't forget that the chariot and the horses actually descended from the spiritual sky. So if the chariot and the horses descended from the spiritual sky, how is it that the horses were afraid of darkness? How is it that the horses did not want to enter the darkness of the universal covering? So Navishana Chakravarti Thakur says that because Krishna is acting on a human platform, Krishna is performing this pastime as an infinite being, as a human being, to make this pastime glorious, beautiful, and sweet. Krishna is enacting this pastime as a human being. And therefore, just as he's taking the drama, the horses and the chariot are also acting according to Krishna's plan. They are acting according to Krishna's desire. They are acting according to Krishna's wish. Whichever way Krishna wanted to act, the paraphernalia will simply act according to Krishna's plan. So even though the chariot, the horses are coming from the spiritual sky, but they are just simply following the order of their master, which is not Krishna. So the universe, the diameter of the universe is 4 billion miles. The thickness of the universal covering, we cannot even estimate. And that goes to tell us how far away the living entity in the material world is from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the Lord is residing in his planet. And residing is about the Vaikuntha planets with the capital as Goloka Vrindavan. So it is only possible for a devotee to go back home, back to Godhead, only by the mercy of the Lord. Or it's only possible for the Lord to descend, covering this great distance in a few moments, just out of his love for the devotee. So Prabhupada says, trying to reach the planet by airships or by mine ships is impossible. Modern scientists have invented airships, which are material, and the yogis, they have still a finer material attempt by mine ships. Yet, neither the airship or the mine ship has access to the kingdom of God in the Vaikuntha Lokas, which is situated far, far beyond the material sky. It is only by the mercy of the Lord that one can reach there, or the Lord can descend from there to benedict the devotee, to deliver the devotee who finds himself or herself in difficulty. Therefore, Lord Brahma in his prayer in the 10th canto, 14th chapter says, Atapi te deva padambuja dvaya prashada lesa grinahita ivahi janati tvam bhagavan mahimo nachaye e kopi shiram vichimvam. My dear Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of the lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many, many years. So Lord Krishna is always very eager to bestow his mercy upon his devotee. In the material world, the living entities are struggling with the material energy. Mama Maya Duratyaya, Krishna says, the material energy is so strong. And the living entity constantly struggles with the material energy. But if the living entity remembers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if the living entity calls on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if the living entity surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately he receives a corresponding mercy, a corresponding favor from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he can transcend this distance. He can receive the mercy of the Lord in the matter of seconds. So even though by airships or by mine ships the living entity cannot reach the spiritual sky, but by the simple process of surrender, by the simple process of bhakti, one can transcend this huge distance that exists between the material world and the spiritual world. If the conditioned soul surrenders to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and thus acquires even a trace of the Lord's mercy, the whole situation can change, and the living entity can begin his real life of bliss and knowledge, just as we see happening to Gajendra. Gajendra was under the grip of the crocodile of the material energy. The material energy is like a crocodile. The material energy is biting everyone on the leg. The material energy is torturing everyone. But we are not crying out to the Lord. Neither are we ready to surrender to the Lord. And therefore, we continue to struggle with the crocodile of Maya. But as soon as we cry out to Krishna, as soon as we surrender to Krishna, Krishna would immediately cut the mouth of the crocodile called Maya. Krishna is the holder of the Sudarshan chakra. And within seconds, Krishna can cut the mouth of the crocodile and free the living entity, just as he did for Gajendra. Srila Prabhupada writes, how then was it possible for the prayers of the elephant to be heard from such an unlimitedly distant place? Or how could it be possible for the Lord to immediately appear on the spot? These things cannot be calculated by human imagination. Therefore, this is possible only by the unlimited power of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, the Lord is described as Aprameya. Aprameya means unlimitedly powerful. For not even the best human brain can estimate the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not even by mathematical calculation can one understand the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Brahma against praise. He says, Janata iva janatu kim bahuktya name prabhu manaso vapusuvacho vaibhavam tavago chara. So there are people who say, I know everything about the Lord. Let them think that way. As far as I am concerned, I do not want to speak very much about this subject matter. Oh my Lord, let me just say this alone. As far as your opulences, as far as your power, as far as your activities are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, the reach of my body, the reach of my words. Manaso, vapuso, vacha, vaibhaivam, tavago chara. As far as the opulences of the Lord are concerned, as far as the potencies of the Lord are concerned, as far as the glories of the Lord are concerned, they are beyond the reach of my mind, of my body, and of my words. Brahma is saying this. If Brahma, the first living being in this universe, the engineer, the most intelligent personality in this universe, is making such a statement, then what is our position? Therefore, we have to understand the position of Krishna. Krishna is described as Achintya Swarupa. Achintya Swarupa means is the embodiment of inconceivable activity, inconceivable opulence, inconceivable power, inconceivable nature. Krishna is beyond our limited minds. Achintya kalo yebhava natams takena yojayet. We should not speculate on things that are beyond our thinking capabilities. That is exactly the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is beyond our thinking capabilities. Krishna is beyond our imagination. There is no mathematical formula. The best human brain, even Brahma, with his four heads, is saying that the opulence of the Lord, the potency of the Lord, the activities of the Lord are beyond the reach of his mind, beyond the reach of his body, beyond the reach of his words. Our only position is to surrender to Krishna. And that is what will help us. Sarva dharma parityajya mam ekam sranavrajam. Krishna is requesting all living entities. Sarva dharma parityajya. He said, abandon all varieties of activities and just surrender unto me. When you surrender unto me, I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. The crocodile of Maya is the sinful activities, the reactions that are keeping us here in the material world, suffering life after life. And just as Krishna cut the mouth of the crocodile with his chakra, Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad Gita that we shall all fall at his feet. We shall surrender at his lotus feet. And immediately he would cut away all the sinful chains that has kept us in this material world for many, many lives. But we are reluctant to surrender to Krishna. But such examples of Gajendra should inspire us to surrender to Krishna more and more and more. Just by picking up a lotus flower and just by offering a prayer to Lord Narayan, immediately the Lord responded. The Lord reciprocated. And the Lord cut the head, cut the mouth of the troublemaker, the crocodile. So each and every one of us is under the grip of the crocodile Maya. Maya is biting our legs, is biting our hands, is biting so many parts of the body. We are screaming, but the only thing we are refusing to do is to pick up a lotus flower and offer it to Krishna, pick up a flower and offer some sincere prayer to Krishna, call on Krishna, scream to Krishna, please come to my aid and take me out of this trouble. That is what we need to do. Krishna is a mysterious person. Krishna, he can do anything. Jagannatha kartam akartum. Lord Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, is kartam akartum. He can do and undo. There is nothing impossible for Krishna to do. There is nothing beyond Krishna's means. Everything is within Krishna's reach. So if we just surrender to Krishna, or even attempt to surrender to Krishna, the results will be very amazing. Krishna's omnipotency is unlimited. Krishna's benevolence is unlimited. Krishna's mercy towards the devotee, unlimited. When the city of Mathura was attacked by Jarasandha, Jarasandha, after Krishna and Balaram killed Kamsa, the wives, Kamsa had two wives, Prapti and the two wives, I've forgotten the name. One is Prapti and one is Buddhi or something, or Pripti or something. So they are daughters of Jarasandha. The two daughters, the two wives of Kamsa. They are the daughters of Jarasandha. So when their husband Kamsa was killed by Krishna, they became widows, and they went back to their parent, to their father, Jarasandha, to complain what Krishna and Balaram had done to their husband. He had rendered them widows. So Jarasandha was very sad to hear what had happened to his son-in-law, Kamsa. So therefore, immediately, Jarasandha mobilized 23 Ashoghinis. It's like many military men. We have in our modern terminology, we have a commander commands a group of military people. So Jarasandha organized 23 of such military groups and attacked Mathura. And Krishna immediately informed Balaram that the Mathura is under siege and they must do something to protect the citizens of Mathura. Jarasandha is attacking Mathura with 23 Ashoghinis. So immediately Krishna invoked two powerful chariots from the spiritual sky, one for Balaram and one for himself. And they immediately dressed up as Kshatriyas. And without even taking any army, they went to face the 23 Ashoghinis of Jarasandha. And within a few moments, they had finished all the 23 Ashoghinis. In fact, Balaram arrested Jarasandha and began to bind him with the rope of Varuna. But Krishna said, don't bind him. Let him go. Our mission is to eliminate all the demonic kings. He's an agent. Let him bring more demonic kings. He will go and organize more demonic kings and we'll kill them. If you kill him now, we won't get a chance to kill many more demonic kings. So Balaram released Jarasandha. And Jarasandha was despondent. He was so crestfallen that he decided to perform austerities in the forest because he had bragged in the beginning. He told Krishna, Krishna, you're a cowhead boy. I'm not ready to fight with you. You have been hiding. You hide and fight. You run away from Kansa, went to hide in Gokul. And when you grow up a little bit, you become to kill your uncle. You're a killer of your family members. I'm not interested in fighting with you. I want to fight with Balaram. And Krishna said, we know people by their actions. We don't know people by their talk. It says, people talk, but they don't act. Those who act, we respect them. So therefore, we want to see how you would accomplish your talking by your activities, how you can back your talking with your actions. So when he was defeated and all his 23 Akshauhinis were destroyed, killed, it was a big embarrassment for Jarasandha. So he decided to renounce. He wanted to live in the forest and perform tapasya. But some of the citizens heard about it and they came and persuaded him. They said, look, that is part of life. In life, sometimes you are defeated, sometimes you become the champion, you become the winner. You should not expect that every time you win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That is the game of Maya. That's the game of life. So this time you have lost. Why are you so worried? You have won in other battles. Go and prepare and come back. So Jarasandha was inspired to go and gather more demonic kings to come and fight Krishna and Balaram. So 17 times, Jarasandha had gathered huge military forces to attack Mathura. But all the 17 times, he was defeated. The 18th time, when Jarasandha was preparing to attack Mathura, there was a Yavana king, Kalayavan. At that particular time, he also came to attack Mathura. So Mathura was under siege by Jarasandha and Kalayavan. So if Krishna and Balaram are to fight one group, the other group will disturb the citizens of Mathura, the Yadus. So Krishna thought, I have to do something special. So immediately Krishna ordered Vishwakarma to build a city in the middle of the ocean in Dwaraka. Overnight, the huge city of Dwaraka, 96 miles circumference, was built. And in that night, while the Yadus were sleeping in Mathura, Krishna, by his mystical potency, by his inconceivable potency, he transferred all the Yadus in their sleep to Dwaraka. The Yadus, they woke up in the morning to find themselves in Dwaraka city. All their family members, all their children, all their wives, all their husbands, all their household goods, everything was nicely transported from Mathura to Dwaraka. In such beautiful houses, golden houses, the floors made of emeralds, beautiful place, the best design in the entire universe. The citizens, the Yadus, were amazed. They were surprised. What kind of Lord do we have? Just see what Krishna has done for us. So Krishna is always thinking about the welfare of his devotees. And if we just try to remember Krishna in any way, Krishna will respond to our devotional service, just as he is responding to the devotional service of Gajendra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's always so beautiful to hear you speak. Not just hearing you speak, but the way you present Krishna Katha. I don't know about others, but being who I am, I enjoy it. It stays with me for a couple of days and it dissipates. But the very moment as I'm enjoying it, I wish I could be enjoying it like that throughout the rest of my life. So thank you so much. Dear devotees, anyone with a question, comment, realizations, and we will humbly request the devotees to be quite brief so that Prabhuji can take rest. It's pretty much late his time. It's almost, it's
About
getting
10 o'clock, 10 o'clock Indian time.
Yes. So please, Governor Prabhu, please you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Srivas Maharaj, please. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Prabhu. I'm always happy to
Hare
see
Krishna.
you behind your Buddha.
Hare
Vishnu is
Krishna.
riding the Garuda. You are riding your own also.
Please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to
Jai.
Srila
All glories to
Prabhupada, all
Buddha,
glories to
glories to
Gurudev.
Prabhupada. Jai.
Jai. Thank you very much. It's very, very wonderful, very nourishing. Krishna Kata. I have a question. You keep saying that Krishna is far, far, far away. And for Gajendra offering prayers to him and him respond to Gajendra prayers immediately, it's awesome. So in Sri Upanishad, there's a prayer that says the Lord is far and also
near.
And also near.
Yes.
And when we come to our contemporary world, we see that electricity can be very far, can be millions and millions of miles.
Yeah.
But once it has a proper connection,
yep.
Life attracts life. If any wood, dead wood or dry wood touch electricity, nothing happens.
That's right.
But if the wood is wet and it touches the electricity, then it sparks.
Yeah.
So life attracts life. So Krishna is not different from his name. His name is spiritual and he is spiritual.
That's true.
And so wherever his name is mentioned,
his presence.
His presence must be felt.
Yep,
so if you say the Lord is far, 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 I would like you to break it down for us to understand. Is it because we are far because we are not, we have not becoming a life warrior for his energy to be connected, or for us to connect to his energy or to connect to him, or he is far away from us? I would like you to help us understand this.
Actually, the Lord is very, very close to us, even in his aspect as a super soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. The super soul is the closest friend of the living entity. Sarva Suhridam Sarva Dehinam. Krishna says, Suhridam. Suhridam means a friend. He's a friend of the living entity. And because he's an eternal friend of the living entity, he stays very, very close to the living entity. Actually, the super soul knows our situation than anybody else because he's very close to us. So the Lord is very close to us, for sure. It's just that we have created the distance, as we are saying. We have created a distance by not connecting with the Lord, by not making ourselves available, by denying the presence of the Lord. We have created a distance. The Lord is already very close to us as a super soul. And he has been with us from time immemorial. From the very moment we enter the material creation, the Lord has been with us. but we refuse to acknowledge his presence. We refuse to take his association. We refuse to take his advice. And so we create a gap. In fact, there was one seminar Gurudev gave, and he was saying that when somebody is angry, he shouts. And the reason is that when we get angry, we distance ourselves from our dear ones. And so we cannot even hear them anymore. So the only way to communicate is to scream. So we can decrease the distance between us and others by our loving relationships, and we can increase the distance between us with the Lord and with even other human beings, other living entities, by our refusal to acknowledge the presence of the Lord. So just as we can communicate very softly, very nicely with loved ones, we don't need to shout, just a very soft talk. The fellow hears you. But once we are under the mode of passion, we become angry, there's a distance. We increase the distance between us and the people we are talking to. And so at that point, we have to shout and scream in order to reach out to the other person. So in the same way, the Lord is very close to us. And if we are acting out of love, the Lord can easily be reached. But because we are not acting out of love, the Lord is at a great distance. And so he is always with us. We only have to decrease the distance. We have to cultivate the right attitude, and we can feel the presence of the Lord to be very close. He's already close as a super soul.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Govinda Prabhu, I hope you're satisfied with the answer?
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I know, Hare Chakra Prabhu, you have your hands up, but I would like to, I don't know if your question has something to do with Govinda Prabhu's question. Otherwise, I have something to say.
Yes, it has something to do with it.
Okay, yes, okay, then go ahead, please.
Yeah, like Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. As always, like Sade said, you always give us the nectar, you pop us up, and then somehow or the other, we get so entangled in the Maya consciousness, and we get reduced back until we see you again to pop us up. So thank you for being here. Thank you for
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
sacrificing all that time that you have in India, and then will be available to us. Yeah, in connection with Govinda Prabhu's question, if what you are saying is the case, that once we try to show some love, then the Lord is automatically very near. So then how do we explain when Draupadi was accusing Krishna that I was calling for you and you were not showing up. What took you so long? And Krishna said, well, I had to run all the way from Dwaraka to this place. So does that mean Draupadi was not what we call it, trying to connect with Krishna out of love or what?
Yes, thank you for the question. Actually, it is explained, the Acharyas explained that Krishna delayed in delivering Draupadi because Draupadi was still having certain considerations in her mind. In the first place, Draupadi was thinking she had 5 powerful husbands who could save her. But when she saw that the 5 husbands were helpless because they had gambled their way and they had no more rights, when she saw that, then she decided to depend on her own strength. But as a woman, how much strength does she have in front of powerful warriors like Dushashan and the rest? So when she realized that she could not withstand the strength of these warriors, then she began to call on Krishna. So she did not call on Krishna from the beginning because she was thinking my husbands will save me. And when she realized that the husbands were helpless, then she started depending on her own strength. And when she realized that her own strength could not match up with the military men, the warriors like Dushashan, then she decided to call on Krishna. But even then, she was still thinking half and half. I will call on Krishna, but I'll also defend myself. So with one hand up and one hand on the sari. But then finally she realized that she could not win the situation, even with both hands. So then she now became fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna and calling out Krishna's name. So when she raised both hands, no more depending on the husbands, no more depending on her own strength, no more depending on any situation. He was now 100% depending on Krishna. It was then Krishna incarnated as Sari. So Krishna said he was running from Dwaraka. He didn't need to run from Dwaraka. Krishna is always present. But because Draupadi was having certain considerations in her mind, she was still taking shelter of certain circumstances, situations. Krishna allowed her that opportunity to exercise her free will. But as soon as she gave up depending on those circumstances and raised her both hands and screamed out to Krishna, "Hey Govinda, hey Krishna," instantly Krishna appeared as the Sari. So that distance that Krishna said he was covering was actually the distance of surrender. Draupadi was going through the different levels of surrender. And Krishna was waiting for that total surrender. So it is often said that Krishna is the Om Purnam. He's a complete Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Krishna, he also demands complete surrender of his devotees. And that is our challenge. How to completely surrender to Krishna is not a very easy job, because we have experienced this independent life for many, many, many lives, millions of lives. We are so accustomed to independent life. So at this point, now we are introduced to this process of bhakti, which requires complete surrender. So it's not that easy, but we are attempting to surrender. We are following the process. And so there is every hope that at some point we will surrender. So in the same way, Draupadi did not immediately surrender to Krishna. And so Krishna gave her that gap to decide whether he wanted to surrender to him or not. But as soon as Draupadi surrendered to Krishna, Krishna intervened. So the same thing applies to all of us. Krishna is waiting for us to surrender completely. We want some miracle to happen in our lives. And Krishna is ready to give us the miracle. He's ready to show us the miracle. But the price is full surrender. The price is total surrender, and which is difficult. But nevertheless, now Chaitanya has made it easier. Katanchana Vishmrite Yasmin Duskaram Sukaram Bhavet. That anything that is very difficult to do, if we simply remember the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, it becomes easy to do. And anything which is very easy to do, and we forget Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that very easy thing becomes very difficult to execute. So by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, even this difficult process of surrendering to Krishna has been made very easy. And what is it? Just simply by constantly chanting the 16 rounds of japa every day, it means that we are surrendering to the lotus feet of Krishna. In Kali Yuga, the process of surrender is to constantly chant the holy names of Krishna. So anyone who is attempting to always chant his japa on daily basis without fail, it can be understood that such a person is becoming a surrendered soul. And by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would gain Krishna's favor. I don't know whether this answers your question.
If Sade's question is in connection with the same question, then you can go, because I have another person that I think.
I have a Kavi Kanapur, Hare Krishna. I see you have your hands up. So, well, I'll let Kavi Kanapur go, and then we'll see. Kavi, please. Can you
hear me, Prabhu?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. We are hearing you very well.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj. Thank you very much for giving us again.
All glories to Guru Deva Gurashla Prabhupada.
Hey, Maharaj. Are you still in Thailand or you are in India now, Maharaj?
I arrived in India yesterday.
Oh, Jai. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, so my question is still in connection to the answer you gave. So, just like you say, as a devotee, we are supposed to totally surrender to Krishna. And like you say, this surrendering process is everyday duty as we chant. So my question now, Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, the Dhammi Buddhi Yoga term. It gives you intelligence. So how do we differentiate when Krishna is giving us intelligence, or we are supposed to act based on totally surrendering to Krishna? Because when we are totally surrendered to Krishna, means we don't want to use our intelligence again. For example, Mandavida Puri or the Sanatan Goswami, they don't want to go and beg because or they don't want to arrange for food for themselves. Because for you to arrange food for yourself means you have to use your intelligence or calculate, okay, where should I go so that I can get some food? So you have to apply some intelligence. For these devotees, they have come to that level of total surrender that Krishna, if you bring, I'm okay. If you don't bring, so be it. Then Krishna also will come. So when do we have to differentiate that we have to use our intelligence and when we are totally surrendered to Krishna? And is it possible for a Grihastha to totally surrender to Krishna, or is the duty of the Sayansi? Please, Maharaj, if you can throw more light on this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your very, very big question. Krishna says he gives intelligence. When it comes to going back home, back to Godhead, Krishna gives the intelligence. Muni Yogam Dadami, he gives the intelligence. So whatever attempts we are making in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is giving that intelligence. Why is it that some people are taken to the process of Krishna consciousness and some people are not? Because Krishna is giving us the intelligence. Why is it that when we face, sometimes we face the same situation in life, one person excels and one person does not? Because Krishna is giving the intelligence. Actually, Krishna is giving everyone intelligence, but we are either taking it or we're not taking it. As far as going back home to the spiritual world, we need the guidance of Krishna and his pure devotees, for sure. We need the inspiration from the spiritual master, from Krishna, for sure. And Krishna is constantly giving us that guidance, constantly inspiring us from within. He's doing that. So the example of Madhavendra Puri and Sanatana Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, all of these exalted souls, we can say that it's not that they did not they were experiencing so much spiritual joy. They're experiencing so much bliss from their spiritual activity. They were feeling that going begging, going looking for food, there is no need, because they were already satisfied with their japa. And whatever little food they got, they were satisfied with it. So, because they were relishing Krishna consciousness, they were drinking the nectar of Krishna consciousness, they did not care very much about the external world. And so they were just absorbed in that chanting, absorbed in that remembering Krishna, absorbed in drinking the nectar. And that was their concern. But Krishna, being all-knowing, understood their situation, that at least so long as they are still in the body needs to be nourished, it needs to be maintained or sustained. And therefore, Krishna arranges for some people to bring them some milk, bring them some yogurt, bring them some chapati, some rice, whatever, sweet rice, whatever, just for them to nourish their body. But because they were enjoying on a higher level, they were enjoying Krishna consciousness, they were drinking the nectar of Krishna consciousness, they were satisfied. They didn't feel any need for even taking care of the body. That is a very high level of Krishna consciousness. We cannot imitate that. So Krishna's guiding us, giving us intelligence, vary from level to level. On our level, Krishna gives us the intelligence how to find something to eat, to find something to support the family, find something to keep things going. That is also Krishna's intelligence. Krishna is also supplying that intelligence. At every time, Krishna is always giving us intelligence. Without Krishna's intelligence, without Krishna guiding us, we will not be able to be where we are. So, but the intelligence Krishna is giving, it varies from level to level. It varies from degree to degree of devotional service. So someone who is just beginning in devotional service, Krishna gives him some amount of intelligence by which he can navigate the process. But somebody who is much more advanced, Krishna also gives him a certain level of intelligence. One who is completely pure, Krishna also gives him a certain level. So to the degree of our purity, Krishna gives the level of intelligence that is needed to operate on that level. So Krishna is constantly giving the intelligence. And that is why he's saying that he's seated in everyone's heart, and from him comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Krishna is reciprocating with every living entity. Without that reciprocation, how can we progress? Even in our material activity, the Supersoul is giving us intelligence. It's actually said that when the universe is recreated, the Supersoul reminds every living entity of its previous activities, because in the annihilation and devastation, everything is forgotten. But the Supersoul reminds the living entity what kind of job he was doing in a previous existence, what kind of life he was leading in a previous existence. The Supersoul reminds him. So the Supersoul is our constant companion, and the Supersoul is always guiding us. Sometimes we accept his guidance, and sometimes we neglect his guidance. But the Supersoul is always available to give us guidance. Even in our material activities, material endeavors, the Supersoul is still there to guide us how to go from one step to the next step to the next step, like that. So, and the issue of surrender, it applies to all devotees. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives an example that once you see his house as a place of bhakti, as a place of cultivating bhakti, once you see his family members as Krishna's devotees, and he is just a caretaker. So if one has this vision, then he is also a surrendered soul. Of course, we say it is much more easier for a sannyasi or a brahmachari who has no responsibility. It is much more easier for him to focus on surrender. But in household life, in Grihastha life, one can also surrender to the Supreme Lord by engaging everything within his means in the service of the Lord. One has deities at home, one engages the wife and children in worshiping the deity, one organizes chanting in the house, one organizes classes in the house, hearing in the house. If one is engaged in such activities, it should be understood that he is utilizing his material circumstances in the service of the Lord. And according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, such a home is not different from Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada also mentions that wherever the Lord is worshipped, be it in the temple or be it in our individual homes, wherever the Lord is worshipped, wherever the pastimes of the Lord are discussed, wherever the activities of the Lord are remembered, that place becomes as good as Vaikuntha. So, in whatever situation we find ourselves, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Grihe Thakur, Vani Thakur. Whether you are a renouncer, vanaprastha, sannyasi in the forest, or you are a householder in the house, and we can simply engage everything in Krishna's service, that is our surrender. And Krishna will reciprocate with us. I don't know whether I have touched your answer.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. You did justice.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Very grateful, Maharaj.
Any other question or comment?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the beautiful answers. Lots of wonderful and quite deep questions. I think, first of all, Prabhu Govinda's question, which was the first question for tonight, your time. I think that the answer you gave is so true, at least to my little understanding. But I think it's also narrowed to one aspect of what the scripture is saying, that especially like what Govinda Prabhu himself quoted from Sri Ishopanishad. And let me see if I can put it up here on the screen. Mantra 4 says that although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place, he controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. So my thinking is that, yes, the Supreme Lord is within our hearts as super soul. So he's very near. But at the same time, the Lord is very far away from us. And that is why most of us are not in touch with him, because the far away from us, I believe, and I'm thinking, refers to the Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, where it is said that he's stationed at one place, he does not move outside of Vrindavan. So that is a fact I believe we cannot deny. The Supreme Lord is in our hearts, is closer to us than we might think. Yet, when the earth was troubled, when the earth was overburdened, Mother Bhumi had to travel all the way to go see Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, together with Mother Bhumi and the demigods, they had to go to a particular place to pray to the Lord. So all these examples are telling me that, yes, even though the Supreme Lord is within us, very close to us, but there are aspects of the Supreme Lord that is very far away from us, that if we want that particular aspect of the Lord to perform a particular action, then we have to get to that particular place. That is my little understanding. So I just say this to see what you think, Prabhuji.
Well, Hare Krishna, I think Ganga Prasad has raised his hand.
Oh, okay.
So, you want to add something?
Yes, you may mute Ganga Prasad Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ganga Prasad Prabhu. My obeisance.
Nice to behold your darshan. All glories to Guru and Gorang. All glories to La Prabhupada. All glories to your divine notices.
All glories to your daily Harinam. I always long to see that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for the very exciting lecture. My question is almost like what every other person have asked, but in another dimension.
Okay.
God is close to us, very near, and nearer than we won't anticipate. And like Sahade Prabhu said, they have to go to the ocean of milk to speak to Gabodakasha Vishnu. Why do they have to travel that far if God is near? But my own concern is this. In the contemporary belief system, the Christians, also in our own forum, the Christians, some people, like Jesus said, if you are fasting and you are praying, you can do that behind closed doors, because God is a silent listener. When the Pentecostal church praying means you have to bang and shout, and like you have to pull down everything in the environment. And this does not resonate with everybody. Some people don't like the harsh praying mode. Also in our system, we encourage more of chanting aloud. But chanting also can be done in the mind.
Mental.
So I am looking for a reconciliation of these seeming contradictions or conflicting circumstances. Praying, yes, God hears prayers. Then why is there so many dimensions to the praying that some people have to shout like the ceiling has to come down, and then we also have to chant like the ceiling has to come down, and then some people have to chant very softly, and still God reciprocates in all these circumstances?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So I think we'll end with this question. Yes, so Krishna is near and Krishna is far. Just to buttress the point Sahadeo Prabhu made, Krishna is near us and he's also far, because certainly the spiritual world is there, Goloka Vrindavan is there, and that is where Swayam Bhagavan Krishna stays. We can't deny that fact. So, but Krishna has by his own mercy, his own arrangement, expanded into the super soul, which is close to us. And so his original form is in Goloka Vrindavan. His expanded form is with us. So if we want the original form, then we have to do what is necessary to see that original form. So yes, Krishna is with us, is within us, is close to us, but also that original Swayam Bhagavan form is resident in Goloka Vrindavan. And that is why we all want to go home back to the Goloka Vrindavan. All our efforts is to reach that Goloka Vrindavan so that we can relate, we can relish Krishna's association, Krishna Aswadhyaya. There's a taste in Krishna consciousness. There's a taste in the practice of Krishna consciousness. And that taste is what we are hungering for. And it is said that the spiritual sky, especially Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme taste can be experienced there. What is it? It says Advaitaya Nadmanja Rasika Sekhara. Advaitaya Nadmanja Rasika Sekhara. That Rasika Shekhara means Krishna is the embodiment of all the mellows. He is the central figure when it comes to mellows. And that spiritual sky, that Goloka Vrindavan, is the seat of all mellows. So we want to go to that spiritual sky. We want to be in Goloka Vrindavan so that we can relish that mellow that is predominantly present in Goloka Vrindavan. So yes, both sides is there. That Krishna is with us as Super Soul, and Krishna is in Goloka Vrindavan as Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. Now, the issue of chanting loud and chanting silently. Yes, it is said that there are 3 levels of chanting. There is Manasa, there is Japa, and there is Kirtan. All of them are directed toward the Lord. But the Manasa, which is the very soft mental japa, actually, is very, very powerful, But many people cannot do it until you come to a certain level of control. So long as we have no control of our mind and senses, that Manasa Japa cannot work, because the mind will be louder. The noise of the mind is louder than our japa, and so we cannot benefit. So therefore, it is recommended that as sadakas, practitioners of the holy name, it is better we chant aloud so that we can drown the voice of the mind. And that is even why kirtan is considered superior to japa. It is mentioned that in the what is it, the book Kirtan, Asian Medicine for Modern Man. It is mentioned that when there is kirtan, thinking stops. So kirtan arrests the mind. So the loud chanting is necessary for a beginner, because that's the easiest way to arrest the mind. But as one advances on the path, he would come to the level of japa, soft japa. And as he controls the mind, he can do manasa japa. So the manasa japa is very deep, because it is a connection between the soul and the Lord. But we cannot reach there until we have disciplined the mind and the senses. So according to our level of practice, then each of these methods is recommended. So for a neophyte devotee, it is recommended he should participate more in kirtan, because that kirtan will help to arrest the mind. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process is Harinam Sankirtan. Kirtan. The more kirtan the devotee does, the more he can subdue the mind. And as we subdue the mind, our japa will become softer. And the more the mind is subdued, the more we can go to the level of manasa japa. And on that level of manasa japa, one can actually relish chanting the names very much more. But it's a question of concentration, question of focus, question of absorption. And that only comes after we have practiced the loud chanting to arrest the mind. So loud chanting is necessary for a neophyte devotee, because that's a way to control the mind. That's a way to arrest the mind. Whereas one progresses on the path of japa, it should be softer and softer and softer, meaning the mind is coming under control, and so he can focus, he can meditate, he can actually relish japa without the loud chanting. I don't know whether I've said anything to the effect of answering your question.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. You did justice to it. Only thing is, I want to find from you, from the Kirtan and Japa, to find out in this trend of Kirtanias, many of our Kirtanians who participate in Kirtan, they also have challenge doing their japa. So what will be your input in that?
Yeah, I think I've observed that also. Your observation is not in isolation. I've observed that our young Kitanians, they love to sing, but they are not eager to chant japa. And then there's a question there, because if they are really doing kirtan from their heart, they should be attracted to japa. So, but if they want to do kirtan and they're not attracted to japa, it means the kirtan they're doing is not going deep into their hearts. It's external. Because if you are really doing kirtan and you are enjoying kirtan, you should also enjoy japa. In fact, I always remember in our early days as devotees, any day we would do a long or prolonged kirtan. In the evening, we used to do long kirtans. In the evening, Gora Arti, we'll go for 1 hour, 2 hours. When we do like that, the next morning, everybody will enjoy japa. Yes, that is an experience. When you do prolonged kirtan and the kirtan really goes deep into your heart, the next day you will enjoy your japa. So if somebody is doing kirtan and he is averse to japa, then it means his kirtan is on the surface. He's not going deep into the heart. If he's really enjoying the kirtan, then his taste for japa should increase. That is the experience I can share.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I think we should drop the curtains now. It's getting too late for me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had something to share, but it's late your time. So
Well, if it does not take time, why not? You can share quickly.
Okay. Well, thank you, Babuji. And it's about Kavikana Prabhu's question, which you answered very beautifully about those who have 100% surrendered to Krishna. Krishna is using them, so they are no more using their own individual intelligence. And you answered it beautifully the way I understand it. So because you answered it the way I understand it, that's why I'm saying it's so beautiful, because that's what I was hoping to hear, and I heard that. But I also want to add a little bit to what you said, in the sense that Srila Vyasadeva is Lord Krishna incarnation. And he was using his individual intelligence to compile the Vedic literatures. And after he had compiled everything, whatever, he still was not very satisfied. And then his spiritual master came and told him the reason for his despondency. So all this while we can say that he was using his intelligence. And again, the acharyas, when they speak, they say that I have studied the scriptures and I've also experienced from my realization of the scriptures. There is a story of Rupa Goswami, who was writing, and then he remarked that the gopis had snakes on their head. And when Sanatana Goswami, of course, Rupa Goswami will write, and then he will present it to Sanatana Goswami for him to proofread. So Sanatana Goswami saw that, and he chastised Rupa Goswami. How dare you say the gopis have snakes on their head? So he chastised Rupa Goswami. And then at a later time, they were on the bank of Yamuna. and there were ladies swimming, taking part in the Yamuna. And Sanatana Goswami had a vision, and there he saw that the hairs on the head of the gopis looked very much like snakes. So he told Rupa Goswami that I chastised you for this, but you are right. Our own Srila Prabhupada. So I'm saying that at this point, Sanatana Goswami used his intelligence to analyze how can you say this when it's not that. And then again, in his divine vision, we may say Krishna gave him this divine intelligence. He realized that, oh no, actually Rupa Goswami is right. I was talking to Harichakra Prabhu and we were discussing how sometimes you go outside preaching and somebody asks you a question and you have no clue to an answer to give to the question. But by the end, the person finishes asking his question. You have the answer. So this is at the point we say Krishna is giving the intelligence, but that does not mean that our individual intelligence is put aside and now we become robot. Even Srila Prabhupada, he also says that I like reading my own books. Why? Because every day I read, I learn something new from it. So that's just what I just wanted to add to the beautiful answer you gave to that question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I think we'll end the class here.
Actually, Prabhu, I am reserving my question for your next appearance because from the test and the presentation you gave about the size of the universe and all those, the darkness, that so many things popped in my mind that I had to ask, but I don't want to keep you waiting because it's too late. So I will reserve it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll meet again sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much. So
actually, I will also reserve my question. I say the Lord is far away. You know, the Lord lives in Goloka Vrindavan. The original Krishna never comes down. And so if the Lord is far away and it's not different from his name, when we chant the names of the Lord, we chant the Maha Mantra. Is that Maha Mantra actually connected to the Lord in the spiritual world who never comes down, or which of the Lords that the Maha Mantra connect with? And if the holy name connects to the original Lord in the spiritual world, then how can we say he's far away? So we reserve that when you come next time, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. That's the Chintia Beda Tattva philosophy.
Yeah.
Simultaneously one and different. Yeah. So we continue next time.
Yes. Hare Krishna. So at this point, we have been requesting all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chakavatarabhyacha, Kripasindhavya Patitana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Srivas Maharaj Ki